Hello everybody, welcome to my review for X-Men Days of Future Past, which the more I think about it sounds like an episode title to a 1960s Star Trek episode. But honestly, I think that that's a fair comparison to make, not only because they do reference Star Trek in the movie, but because in this film the plot is that the X-Men are breaking the time continuum and going back in time, or as Captain Kirk would say, go back in time. Sorry. I was kind of skeptical when I first heard about the idea for this movie because I just didn't think it was going to work, having the first class cast and the original X-Men cast come together in a movie. To me, it was like they were just trying to pigeonhole all of these characters and actors into one movie just for money. And it just seemed like it was going to be chaotic and just a mess. But, I mean, okay, on one hand, yeah, it kind of was. But on the other hand, I think that this is a really well-made, fun, kind of comic book, zippy, poppy world. And I wanted more of it. And I have to say, I think this is probably my favorite movie in the X-Men canon. I grew up on the first two movies, X-Men 1 and then X2, X-Men United. I mean, that was like my childhood in a nutshell. I mean, it would just disturb the hell out of you if you knew how many times I watched those movies with my brother. But you know, I hated the third one so much, it just really disappointed me, that I just never got around to seeing any of the others until X-Men First Class, which, you know, I actually thought was a pretty good movie, but I was not interested in the other ones. But I actually think that it's okay to go into this movie having skipped a few movies here and there, like the Wolverine movies and all of that, because it's just, despite the fact that the plot is kind of needlessly complicated, it works in the sense that the plot moves along well enough. The characters are grounded in this world. You know why they're there. They have motivations, and plus the characters are just so recognizable and iconic that, you know, they kind of carry along the film enough. One reason I really like X-Men just as a story is the fact that it's attempting to be kind of an allegory, and it's trying to say something about our culture. You know, obviously the X-Men are a metaphor for lots of things, but particularly, you know, the civil rights era, you know, counterculture, this whole Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X storyline. And these are very important issues that obviously impacted our world quite a bit. And I love how this film kind of ties in the zeitgeist. This movie, obviously, for the most part, takes place in the early 1970s, and you do see Vietnam, Watergate brought up, the JFK assassination, and to me, I like that because it makes the movie mean a little bit more than just a comic book movie. It has relevance to that period and also our own, the modern day, which is more than I can say for, you know, like the most recent Godzilla movie. I thought that that's something that it needed. Of course, I wish they had gone, the X-Men movie had, and all of them actually for that matter, had gone deeper with those ideas, with the ideas of counterculture and how humanity deals with that sort of thing. But I mean, it is handed to us in a very easy sort of Hollywood glossy way. And that's fine on one level, but I always felt like X-Men had a little bit more more potential than that. I just wish it had been less safe, but it's still kind of a goofy comic book movie. So if that's what you're wanting to see, then you're gonna like this movie. I think in terms of why the film works so well is because, number one, you've got good actors. You know, obviously you've got Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, who are wonderful, but you also have actors like James McAvoy, who I just adore, and you have Michael Fassbender, who you all know my love affair with that man. I mean, I swear, when the two of them on screen together, McAvoy and Fassbender, they practically had to hose me down. I loved Peter Dinklage in this movie. He is a great villain. I wanted to see more of him. He's just a great actor, period. He's got a very imposing voice and a nice kind of subtlety, but you know, there's enough bite to everything that he says that it makes him kind of imposing. Well, very imposing. But I also loved Quicksilver in this movie. I am a big fan of Quicksilver. I thought he was great in the animated series of X-Men. The reason he's great here is because he's very rebellious. He's immature, but he's witty, a little bit strange, and he's just dynamic every time he's on screen. There is a killer action sequence where they're trying to break Eric Lyncher out of jail, and Quicksilver does this awesome slow motion sequence where he's trying to stop bullets, and it is awesome. It was by far my favorite sequence in the entire movie, just because they infused it with enough of that kind of humor, and it's very in character for him, is what I'll say. There is a lot of action in this film. It's probably more gory and just more gut-wrenching than maybe you're used to in the other films, or at least the original 3 X-Men movies. But I think it works because, again, it's beautifully paced. The characters have very clear intentions, and they never lose that ensemble. You know, what we love about the X-Men is who they are as characters, and that's never quite lost. I mean, yeah, this movie is not great. It's schlocky. It's, you know, almost a parody at certain points, but it's a lot of fun. And in a comic book world, I think that it's allowed to work. It doesn't always have to be this brooding, serious thing that has become quite popular since the Chris Nolan Batman film. Sometimes it is fun to just have a light, zippy, fun comic book movie, and that's exactly what I got. So I think if that's what you're into and you really like X-Men, you're gonna like this movie. I certainly did. Again, I think it's probably one of the best ones, if not the best one. So anyway, that is my review. Thank you all for listening. Please follow me on Twitter if you wish. The link is below, and I'll see you all next time.